And here's our wreath. I hung it on my pantry doors. They're sort of like, looks like shutters, but it works perfectly there. And I have all my supplies here. I have some pine cones, some sticks that we're going to paint. I have some acorns that I gathered up from a neighbor's yard. I made my own ribbon. I kind of like doing this. It's actually a drop cloth that painters use, and it's plastic on the back, paper on the front, and when you put it on a straw wreath or even any other kind of wreath like this, it looks kind of neat. It's kind of farmhouse looking, and that's kind of the look I'm going for. So I already cut a few strips of this, and I have my hot glue gun ready to go, and we're going to work on putting some of this ribbon that I made onto the wreath. Here we go. So I'm going to glue this about every second or third twist that I put on this ribbon. I don't want it to come loose when it's hanging on my wall or on my door. You can always go back and tuck a little bit inside the ends of whatever type ribbon you're using. And you don't have to use this kind. I just had this laying around and I thought, I'm all about reuse, reduce, recycle. And I thought, well, what can I use this for? And voila, here we go. Okay, here I am back. I got the ribbon, the homemade ribbon, if you want to call it that, all glued on. I ended it down here at the bottom because I'm going to use some sticks and some acorns, some pine cones, and some different natural items. I want this to look farmhouse but kind of natural. I'm into going out in the yard and finding some nuts, and I did find quite a few acorns, and they are huge this year. Poor little squirrels are going to be starving, I guess. But they won't mind. And then I have some spruce tree pine cones, spruce cones, that are a little smaller than the regular pine cones. And so I'm going to mix. I like the mix of the colors. I think that it's a good contrast. And I have some paint. I already painted a couple of the sticks kind of a tan, and that way I thought would be a good contrast with the other sticks and with the pine cones. I also gathered up a few of these gumball things, which are very sticky. You have to watch your fingers, as sticky as being, they'll hurt your fingers if you're not careful. So be a little bit careful. Well, I'm going to try a little bit of metallic paint on them and just see what it looks like. They're kind of a neat design, and I don't know if you've ever looked at them, but they're just really different. And I thought, well, I'm going to try to incorporate that into my wreath. So I think that's kind of pretty. It's not all white. I didn't want it solid white. And I'm going to leave some of these the natural color. And that way I have kind of a contrast, a three contrast. I have the tan, which I did last night. And then I have the sort of a off-white. And we're going to leave some of them the natural color. And I think that would be a good contrast. I just lost a little piece off of this. What I did when I picked up these sticks is I actually hit them against the tree so I could make sure that they wouldn't fall apart when I put them on my wreath. So you might want to do that because some of the little pieces will fall off, and you don't want it falling off when it's hanging on your door or your wall, wherever you're going to hang it. And there's no right way to do this. Just do it however you want, and if you don't want any white on there, you could use green or you could use brown, any color that suits what look you're going for. So let's see what we have here. I left my glue gun on so it's still hot, and I looked at my wreath. There's an end in several places because of my homemade ribbon out of the drop cloth from a painting store. So as you can see, here's an end, and this side has an end up here. Well, I would rather have that at the bottom, so I think I'm going to use this as the front of my wreath. And I'm going to put this larger stem, branch rather, on first. And we're just going to play it by ear. And you just glob some hot glue there, and we'll cover it up with nuts and leaves and maybe even a little faux grass or moss, whatever we have, and we'll make it look pretty. It's going to be different. It'll be unique because every branch is different on a tree. What do you think? I think I like it so far. So there we go. See, my big branch is already solid, and the pine cone's getting there. It's a little bit wiggly, so I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to try one of these gumball things, and maybe, I'm not sure how much that's going to stick on there. So I'm just going to put a glob down here, and we're going to try it. I don't know. Maybe the gumballs will work, and maybe they won't. I have like, maybe 5 million of them in my yard, because I have 2 huge gumball trees. Or I call them gumball. I don't know what their name is. There we go. That might work. We'll find out, won't we? And even this little bitty stem here, I'm going to put some glue on that. It'll help. And then we have the little pine cone. So let's see, how do we want this? Yeah, I like a different direction for things. I don't like everything in a row because it's too boring. And so let's get this going a different direction, like that. Off. And what I have here, I have some faux leaves and berries, and I have another pine cone. I haven't decided. I may put it over here. And what I'm going to do with the pumpkin is divide this thing, take this apart, and put the pumpkin right in here for the harvest wreath. So I will show you. You have to be kind of careful. Sometimes they'll split. I'm not sure. I think this was maybe a napkin holder or something. I'm not sure what it was, but we're just going to use this part of it right now. And I'll keep the other part for another project later. So I don't want it this color. I guess you could leave it that way, but I want orange. You know, pumpkins are orange. So I don't have orange paint, but I have yellow and red. So yellow and red make orange. I'm going to put just a little daub here on my paper and just mix it. It doesn't have to be a perfect orange. It can be maybe more yellow or maybe more red. There's all different colors of pumpkins. And if we need to, I still have my white, off-white paint we can, you know, mix in with it to highlight it. So let's take this. I'm going to take the smooth side because the other side's kind of rough. We're going to glue that down. You won't see that. And so I'm going to make it, oh, that's kind of a rust color. That's kind of cool. And I'm going to leave part of it mixed, you know. I'm not going to make it a solid color because if you look in a pumpkin patch, you know, you'll see all kinds of colors on pumpkins. You'll see yellow and red and orange. And they even have some now that are white and all speckledy. They have spotted ones. You never know what you're going to get when you go to a pumpkin patch. So we're just going to make our own. And I'm going to go ahead and do the stem with this color for right now and the edges. But I'll probably come back later and highlight the stem maybe with a different color. I have a green metallic over there. I might use a little bit of the green on it. I think my fingers are going to get orange here. But that's okay. I enjoy painting. I don't mind getting my fingers messy. They wash. Soap and water. And if you get paint on your clothes, you can sometimes, if you get it right away before it gets real dry, you can use just a little bit of rubbing alcohol and it depends on the cloth. You know, don't do on something really good because it may damage the clothing. But okay, so what do you think? I think that's kind of cool. It gives it, by leaving the little lines in there, it gives you like the aspect that it's round and that it's three-dimensional instead of flat. And that's my idea. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to clean my brush. Try to get it as clean as I can. And I use a metal can because when I'm outside especially, it will tend to fall over less. If you use a plastic cup, you might end up knocking something over and getting paint where you don't want paint. So I do have some green here. I'm going to use just a little bit. Let's put that on my paper down here too. And I'm going to kind of blend it with the brownish, because I don't want it stark looking. I just want a little touch of green because it is the stem. And see, you can make it just kind of, you know, come down. They're not perfect. Just like that. I'm going to do the sides of the stem. So there we go. I mean, you know, you can have it come down a little bit. Sometimes the pumpkin it comes down a little to hold on to the vine that it grows on. So there we go. Now we have our harvest pumpkin. Alright, pumpkin, let's see if you're dry. Pretty dry. Let's get that on there. Let me hold it up. Once again, I'm liking it. I'm thinking right there is good. So that way we can kind of get things settled of where the pumpkin is and where the final things are going to be, as far as some more leaves, some more nuts. And I'm trying to what I need to do is make sure that the pumpkin is secure, because we don't want it falling off. I'm going to use my glue and just run it in there. There we go. And let's see. Now, I had this one. This is the one I glued the cap on, I think. Or maybe that was the one I glued the cap on. Anyway, this was pretty solid. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it right there by the pumpkin. I'm going to glue right here at the edge and on the nut itself. I'm going to make sure there's enough, that it has enough to rest on. And it'll help also hold the pumpkin on. So kind of think about it, you know, and you can make it, it's like building blocks. We're building a wreath. So I always look underneath to see that everything is glued. I'm going to show you there. And I'm going to add a little bit more glue right underneath here, because there's just a little space there that it's kind of an open space, and we don't want them coming loose. We don't want that pumpkin jumping off of the wreath. Oh, I'm almost out of glue, so I got to get some more. That's another thing. Make sure that you have enough glue sticks with you, so you don't have to get up and get something right in the middle of a project. There's nothing more aggravating than not having enough supplies. I'm going to put a little bit more glue by this acorn. Oh, right in front of my face. Sorry. Okay. There we go. So now when I put my hanger on, I'm going to have it hanging just about like that. And here's our wreath. I hung it on my pantry doors. They're sort of like, looks like shutters, but it works perfectly there. I love the color in with the cream colored doors. It just stands out really well.